What's going on, bottom line viewers? It's me, Fitty Trent, and I missed you guys so much. Honestly, it's been like forever. By forever, I mean like 2 days since I've gotten to be with an NHL review. Sadly, I've been working very busy, very busy, especially because up here in Canada, we just had a long weekend called Victoria Day. So it's been very busy in my life, but I just had to come here to tell you guys about this game and help recap this game for you guys as the Nashville Predators, for the first time in their franchise history, make it to the Stanley Cup Final. I thought it was incredible when they swept the Chicago Blackhawks. I thought it was incredible when they made it all the way to the Western Conference Final for the first time in their franchise's history. But no, I was wrong apparently, because I should be now amazed that they are going to the Stanley Cup Final, as I once again said, for the first time in their franchise's history. I cannot believe it. And I bet you guys that you can't believe it either, because looking at the stats of this game, they were outshot, they were out hit, they were out, giveawayed, they gave more giveaways. So honestly, you can kind of think that probably the Anaheim should have they won this game? Yeah, looking at some of these stats, you probably would think that they should have won this game. Did they? No, surprisingly not. In fact, on the old grinder, the big old enforcer that they have in Nashville, his first shot of the game, the first shot in the game, period, goes in. His third goal of this entire playoff so far. And that's a great start for the Nashville Predators. A minute in and already a 1-0 lead. Next thing you know, 7 minutes after that, Colton Sissons, or Sissons as lots of people call him, he gets his third goal of the game. And Sissons, just to predict, he would have a fantastic game in this game, because he did. He played absolutely amazing. He gets his third goal of the postseason so far, his first of the game. And then, honestly, the Nashville Predators just went to autopilot at that point. They really didn't look that threatening. They didn't look amazing like previous. And then the second period started, and Ondrej Kase, or Kase, or however you want to say it, he gets his second goal of the entire playoffs. The big old rookie, assisted from Ryan Getzlaf, his 11th assist, and Sami Vatanen. And at that point, I thought, all right, Anaheim, they're out shooting, they're out hitting. This is going to be their big comeback. Look for a huge thing to happen in the third period. And the third period actually just started off with Colton Sissons getting his fourth goal of the postseason and his second of the game, assisted by Pontus Aberg and Fillip Forsberg. It was kind of a weird goal. It looked like either one of them got the goal, but honestly, I thought that it was Sissons immediately, and it turned out it was. That was his second goal of the game. And then Anaheim, boom, they get a goal. Chris Wagner, his third of the postseason, assisted by the rookie Kerdeals and Antoine Vermette. And then, boom, not even 5 minutes after that, Cam Fowler gets his second goal of the postseason, which is actually kind of surprising me, because Cam Fowler, he's that ideal offensive defenseman for the Anaheim Ducks. So getting his second goal of the postseason, I thought that he'd honestly have more. But no, boom, he gets his second goal of the postseason to tie up the game. I mean, at that point, I was thinking, oh my gosh, Anaheim, they're going to be able to make the comeback. This entire series has been about comebacks. Honestly, what's going to happen? I could not believe it. I could not bear to watch it, but I did, because I really wanted to see what was going to happen. Was there going to be a Game 7? Was there not going to be a Game 7? And just speaking about that Cam Fowler goal, I mean, Corey Perry knocks over Pekka Rinne like 2 seconds before the goal gets in. Rinne literally just has time just to get up and get over to try to face the shot, but it goes in. Honestly, I think that Perry should have gotten a penalty for that, but nevertheless, it was over. I digress. It was tied up at that point, 3-3, and I really thought, Anaheim, they were going to start running away with this game, especially since Nashville at that point hadn't even had 10 shots throughout the entire game. Believe it or not, they had not had 10 shots in that entire game yet, until, boom, Colton Sissons, his third goal of the game. That's right, a hat-trick goal, but they didn't really know if it was a hat-trick goal, because his second goal was kind of told that it was Pontus Aberg who scored the goal, so it was kind of up in the air. But yes, his third goal, a hat-trick. During the commercial break, they announced that it's his hat-trick goal. They all start celebrating. They all start throwing their hats, their children, everything that they can out on the ice, because they're just so excited in Nashville. Anaheim, near the end of the game, they're starting to make a push 2.5 minutes remaining. They pull their goaltender just for Fillip Forsberg to get his 8th goal of the postseason, assisted from Fiddler on the roof. Yes, Vernon Fiddler, who got an assist to make it a 5-3 game. And then finally, they pull the goaltender one last time for one last hope. But Austin Watson gets a break, literally in their own zone, facing the empty net. He's not going to miss that, even though he is that enforcer. His 4th of the postseason, assisted from Ryan Ellis. And ladies and gentlemen, that is it. The Nashville Predators, Smashville, heading off to the Stanley Cup Final for the first time in their franchise's history. I still can't believe it. I'm still shaking. I mean, just look at this. It was an incredible game. It was incredible to watch. And as I said, honestly, the Nashville Predators, they got their asses handed to them for most of this game. Look at these stats. 41 shots for the Anaheim Ducks. They had 5 or more players with at least 4 shots in this game. Outstanding for them. The Nashville Predators, only 18 shots. 8 of those shots were in like the third period. At least 8 or 10 of those shots. Going into the third period, they barely had any shots. Face-off percentage, 62% for the Anaheim Ducks. Only 38% for those Nashville Predators. The Predators had a 5-minute power play in the first period, and they did not register a single shot on it. Honestly, the Anaheim Ducks looked great. Hits-wise, the Ducks, 21. The Predators, only 17. I mean, blocks was the only thing the Predators had a big advantage in this game over. 22 blocks for them, only 9 blocks for the Anaheim Ducks. And honestly, believe it or not, I still can't believe it. The Nashville Predators, they're heading off to that Stanley Cup Final. Oh my gosh. It's cooler and cooler every single time I say it. As I said, the big playoff performers for this game, Colton Sissons, however you want to say it, a +5 in this game. 3 big goals for only 3 shots. I mean, congratulations. Doing great there. And honestly, looking at all their other players, Austin Watson, 2 big goals. Still hitting players with 2 big hits. 6 huge blocks for Austin Watson. He led the entire team in blocks with 6 big ones right there. Vernon Fiddler on the roof, had that assist, had a couple shots on net. It was good to see him out there. Good to see him working hard. Victor Arvidsson, believe it or not, Victor Arvidsson did not have a great game. He was 100% on the draws that he took, but I do believe he only took 1. But he only had 1 shot on goal. He did have 3 takeaways, though. But besides that, he was on -1 in this game. James the Real Deal Neal on -2 in this game. I mean, you look at these players, and it's just incredible to think that, you know, this team ended up winning. You look at the defensive core, though, and the defensive core you got to give a big hand to, because everyone on their defensive core at least had 1 block. That's right. PK Subban and Ryan Ellis both had 1 block apiece. Everyone else had 2 or more. Incredible stuff. Their least amount of minuted defensemen, Yannick Weber, had an assist tonight, had 2 blocks. He played well. There was not a single part of their defense that played poorly. Pekka Rinne, 38 saves for a save percentage of .927. Pekka Rinne was looking incredible. Not to mention that he stopped all 3 of the shots that he faced on the power play, which was very nice to see for Pekka Rinne. He has arguably been one of the best goaltenders of this postseason. And you have to also look at this in a Nashville Predators side, that they have a lot of injuries. Not as much as some would say it's like the Pittsburgh Penguins, but you look at Mike Fisher gone. You look at Ryan Johansson gone. You look at Craig Smith, Harry Zolnarchuk, P.A. Parenteau. All these players, they're not playing. They're all injured. They're all hurt. Then you look at the Anaheim Ducks, and yes, you could definitely see that their number 1 guy, that's right, you know, John Gibson, he was the decision maker because he was injured tonight. And Jonathan Bernier only made 12 saves out of the only 16 shots that he faced, which was absolutely just unfortunate. It was very unfortunate for Jonathan Bernier. Yes, he had that kind of rough spot when he played with Toronto, but he had a really great backup role this year with the Anaheim Ducks. And honestly, he just did not show up tonight with those 12 saves for 16 shots for a .750 save percentage. That's not good enough. You look at their defensemen, a lot of their defensemen gave away the puck. Cam Fowler had 2 giveaways. Sami Vatanen, 2 giveaways. What have I been saying about you, Sami Vatanen? Stop giving away the puck. I mean, that was a big difference maker there. Other than that, I mean, A lot of their players played actually not a half bad game, even though that they were all minuses. Ryan Kesler was actually a -4, believe it or not. Ryan Kesler being a -4 in this game. That's pretty hard to believe since he is that natural predator killer, as I called him at the beginning of this series. Really hadn't just an off game. Jacob Silfverberg, that's right, Salem Silfverberg, -4 in this game also. Only 2 shots for him, only 1 block. He was very invisible in this game, to be completely honest. I mean, Antoine Vermette, 70% in the faceoff dot, did have an assist and played 18 minutes of ice time. We don't get to see that a lot from Vermette. They were definitely trying to roll with a lot of their players and a lot of their lines. In fact, all their forwards had more than 10 minutes in this game, except for Jared Bowl and Richie. But that's just because Richie was thrown out of the game after 15 minutes of penalty minutes in this game. Oh my goodness, he was thrown out in that first period. Maybe that was the difference maker, but honestly, Jonathan Bernier, he was truly the guy that dropped the ball. Bernier, I know, was suspected to be maybe a starting goaltender for a team, possibly in the future, but with his performance that he gave for this one game alone, honestly, I still think that he's a backup. I've always thought that he's been a really good backup, even in his Toronto days when he was that starter. It was never that great. But Anaheim Ducks, should they be disappointed in the season rather? Yes, they probably should, but the thing is, they ran into a lot of injury troubles because it wasn't just Gibson who was out. Gibson, I said, was the main injury that they had, but also Shea Theodore was out. Ricard Raquel was out. Logan Shaw was out. A big they really got back from injury was Kevin Bieksa, who was basically being a lunatic at the end of the game, trying to drop his gloves with anyone. He had 12 penalty minutes in this game, was a +1, however, did have 5 hits, did have a block. He was very noticeable on that physical side, but he was losing his mind at the end of the game, basically didn't want to shake the hands. It looked like he was just ready to drop the gloves with anyone. So, honestly, Anaheim Ducks, should you be disappointed in the season? Honestly, I think you really should. I mean, you've gone from the first to the second to the third to, I think, the third again last year to the third round this year. And every single time you're just so close, but yet so far to that Stanley Cup. Yes, you've won that one, but it's still just so disappointing to see you guys getting so close and yet so far. Nashville, however, hold your heads up high. You came into the Stanley Cup playoffs with the worst record going into this, being the 16th seeded team with the worst record going into it, and you have swept your arch enemy, the Chicago Blackhawks. You have dealt with those St. Louis Blues. I had to think about who they faced. You dealt with them in 6 games. You dealt with the Anaheim Ducks in 6 games. Honestly, Nashville, look out for them moving on in the playoffs. I know that they're pretty beaten up, but honestly, look out for them because Smashville, only 1 game has been lost in Nashville this entire year in the playoffs, and that was in an overtime. Overtime, anything can happen, and it was just overall such a great game. And overall, the series was so great. From the very beginning, I said that these 2 teams were very physical teams. It was the physical offense of the Anaheim Ducks, versus the physical defense of the Nashville Predators. And as I always say, defense wins you championships, and we definitely saw that tonight. Let's take a quick look at the chat here. I know we got a lot of people in here, and we have, oh, please get over yourself, the victors of circumstance, Scrub, thank you very much. Preds Sens final. That'd be interesting there, Beth. You weren't even old enough to watch Gretzky or the Russian Five, says Dave. That's fair. That's what I want, says WildFan8. These Preds are doing something special, says Packard. I completely agree. They are looking amazing. The Ducks had it. John Gibson. They should have won it. Maybe. Will the Senators win Game 6, says Von Hook. Honestly, I think the Senators will. I think that this will be a 7-game series. The Pittsburgh Penguins versus, the Ottawa Senators. The Senators have looked really good. They're playing that trap game. Honestly, I think the Senators will be able to tie this series up. Who's this clown and why is he on my watch list, says John Doe. No worries there, John Doe. I'm Fitty Trent. I'm glad that you're watching. Thanks for stopping by. Von Hook says, where is Mitch? He's very busy today. He had a lot to do. He had a couple little things. There might be a few videos coming out for things that he was doing. Bodo Winder said, great third. Absolutely. That was incredible. It was absolutely great third period, one of the best that we've ever seen. John Doe says, Bernie didn't drop the ball, you goofball. Thanks once again, John Doe. I'm so glad that you're still sticking around, buddy. Bodo Winter says, the Ducks had a lot of old-timers that might not be back, and if they did the seedings like everybody wanted, do you think the Predators would have beaten the Capitals? Well, I honestly think that, yes, the Predators, they have something that the Capitals don't, and the Capitals don't have a defense. Yes, the Capitals have a fantastic offense, but we saw them beat, a fantastic offense with the Chicago Blackhawks. The Blackhawks, they had that fantastic offense. They just didn't have any grinders on that team. I think that was the main reason why the Chicago Blackhawks got swept. Yes, they had Jordan Tutu, but they played for Jonathan Tutu for one game. And in that game, he was just getting a lot of penalty minutes. So I get why you scratched him. But they weren't that rough and tough team that you usually see the Chicago Blackhawks. Not to give anything away to the Nashville Predators because they played an excellent round. I'm just saying that, you know what? They didn't have any of those rough and tough guys. And they honestly, looking at the Washington Capitals, they don't really have those rough and tough guys. Yes, they have Tom Wilson, but I don't think that Tom Wilson alone would have been enough to be able to hold off those Nashville Predators. I think that the Predators have a really great goaltender in Pekka Rinne. Not saying that Holtby is a bad goaltender. It's just saying that Holtby had a very disappointing series, this entire playoff so far. Mitch would say that Holtby is overrated and he sucks. I still think that Holtby is a great goaltender. He won a President's Trophy. In fact, he won 2 President's Trophies and tied a record with Marty Brodeur. So clearly you don't suck that much if you can do that. But I like Pekka Rinne. I think he's been playing solid. And as I said, the defense is a big thing that I think really won it for the Nashville Predators. The Truth says, only in Canada would be such an obscure guy in BC to do a live stream on Nashville winning the Western Conference Final. They don't even care this much in Nashville. Lol. Hey, man, this is the bottom line view, all right? This is what we do. We do everything that we can to make things better for you guys. We want you guys to be watching this. I'm a super hockey fan. As you can probably see by my room, I'm a big Canucks fan, but nevertheless, I'm just a big hockey fan in general. So I'm just super excited by this. Vaughn Hook says, hey, Fitty Trent, do you watch the World Championship? I was sadly working at that time, but I did hear what happened. I heard that, Canada lost in the shootout. Personally, I find that it should be in a tournament. It should be a golden goal kind of scenario, like last goal wins it. But that's sadly not the case for the World Cup, or the World Championship, rather. So, oh well. I mean, these things happen. As a Canadian fan, we've won it so many times. It's nice to see like a team like Sweden win it. So, with me being from Canada, yes, I would have loved to see us win it. But if we had to lose to a team, I'm glad it's like a team like Sweden who works hard and plays a lot of good hockey. Just like the Nashville Predators and the Anaheim Ducks both played really hard and both played really well. So Anaheim Ducks, going back to Bodo saying that there's a lot of old guys that might not be back. That's very interesting there, Bodo, because I proposed something to Mitch a couple live streams ago. Probably not a couple at this point. It's probably like a good 3 or 4. Saying, should Corey Perry be traded? And honestly, Corey Perry was arguably one of the best players in this entire series. But in this series, he played great. In the first 2 series, though, he played really bad. And honestly, I think if you can get some trade value for him, you might want to trade him. Getzlaf, I still think is okay. Bieksa, don't worry about him. He's going to be retiring at the end of the season, probably. Besides that, all the other old guys, Antoine Vermette, you'll probably lose to free agency. Just trying to think about all the old guys that you have on your team. That's pretty much it. I mean, Nate Thompson, he's a solid 4th-line center, so you'll probably want to have him around. And your defensive core is really young. That's another thing that I really like about them, is that their defensive core is very young. Looking at the chat once again, Kyle G, if you think they don't care in Nashville, you need to watch a game. Seriously, have you ever heard of Chicago bandwagoners? The Blackhawks fans don't even know who Chris Chelios is. That's really sad. I know. That's pretty much a fact. Who would be a better matchup for the Preds? Honestly, I think that the best matchup right now, that's a tough question because the Pittsburgh Penguins, they are very injured right now and they're very much a beaten team. So it's the kind of thing where, will they still be a good team? Yes, they'll be very threatening. Do they have still that defensive core? Well, with Letang out, with Justin Schultz out, they're not looking as good. So maybe the Pittsburgh Penguins would be better because Ottawa is such a bumping crowd. But honestly, I think that they'd have a better chance against Ottawa just because Ottawa is getting a little bit older as well. They have players like Burrows and Stallberg who are kind of up there in their age. Even though I'm a Canuck fan, I know that Burrows is getting up there in age. They do play well. Craig Anderson, he's been outstanding these entire playoffs. However, I don't know if he's Pekka Rinne level outstanding. So I'd say that the Ottawa Senators would be the best. But I can definitely see whoever they face, whether it be the Ottawa Senators or the Pittsburgh Penguins, I can definitely see this going to a Game 7 there, Packard. Same thing in Nashville. Just because they watch and jump in the crowd does not mean that they are fans and care. Predators are just the flavor of the month. No, I think that the Predators are truly, I think the fans there are truly behind their team. And Jacob, who just said that he followed us on Twitter, Jacob, that's greatly appreciated. That's what we want to hear. And, you know, be sure to contact us on our Twitter, you know, whether that's our Bottom Line View Twitter, whether that's my own personal Twitter at Fitty Trent, or Mitch's Twitter at Mitch Milani, or Dilly Vanilli's, or Kevols, or AC's, because we're all talking about sports. We're all big sports fans. All of those Twitters are in the description. So if you want to follow any of us and talk to us about hockey, talk to us about sports, because that's why we created this channel. We created it we are sports fans doing videos for sports fans, all right? Bodo Winter just said, the NHL better hope that it's Pittsburgh versus Nashville because the ratings will be in the crapper if it's the other way around. Well, yeah, honestly, I don't know. You know, it would be in the crapper for the States for sure if Pittsburgh did not make it. But I think here in Canada, if Ottawa made it, I think that would definitely help it out more. And actually, NHL is getting a heck of a lot less popular in the States, to be completely honest with you. They had their lowest amount of winnings or lowest amount of viewers within this last year of the Stanley Cup. So, or not the Stanley Cup, but throughout the entire regular season. Don't mind me. It's been a long time. I'm kind of tired. Looking at this, who will win the Conn Smythe? That's an interesting question. Looking at the teams remaining, I got to give my nod to the big old Pekka Rinne. You know, he has absolutely led his entire team. He's been keeping his team within this entire series, this entire, you know, playoff so far. So for Nashville, definitely Pekka Rinne. For the Pittsburgh Penguins, I mean, I would say Fleury, but it looks like they're going to go with Murray now. So probably more realistically, it will be either Sidney Crosby or Evgeny Malkin. I think Malkin has been very underrated so far in these playoffs. He was outstanding within the first 2 rounds, but he's still been playing very solid throughout these entire power play, throughout this entire playoffs, rather. And the Ottawa Senators, I mean, you got to give it to Craig Anderson or Erik Karlsson. I mean, Erik Karlsson, he's been yelling at his players. He's been boosting them up, and that's what you need in a captain. You need a captain who encourages your team with yelling, not like a Phil Kessel who yells at everyone and expects them to work around them. We got the great old music wizard in the chat, the one, the only, one of my personal favorite fans. You're all great, but Music Wizard, he has been with us for so long. And if you're in the chat, like Music Wizard, like Bodo, who has been watching us forever, you guys are some of our favorite fans. The great Austin, he says, hey, Fitty Trent, what's up, Music Wizard? Let me ask you a question, says the truth. Why don't Americans care about hockey? It's behind NASCAR, women's tennis, and ESPN removed hockey coverage. I don't know. I think, honestly, they don't like hockey because, honestly, it's all about Canada. Canadians win the hockey titles for American teams. Looking at American, really good players, my lineup's probably for the best American team. On forward, I'd probably have my first line. Then for, my defense, I mean, oh, God, probably Shattenkirk. I can't even think of another really good defenseman from the United States. For goaltender, definitely Jonathan Quick, though. But that's just the thing. There's not enough Americans in the game of hockey. When you grow up in America, usually you play football, you play basketball, you play baseball. So those are your big games. That's what I'm thinking. Music Wizard says that Pekka Rinne should win the Conn Smythe. Bodo Winter says, I know that the Tennessee Titans offense lines love the Predators. I mean, who doesn't? I mean, everyone there in Tennessee is going crazy. Mitch is actually here. He's in the chat right now. He's saying, go Fitty Trent, go. He's cheering me on, which is awesome. And the great Austin is saying, Fitty Trent, do you think the Senators will push for a Game 7? absolutely their music wizard. I think that they are a great team. I think, you know, they play the trap well. And when they get out of that trap to play offense, I think they're an excellent team. It's just, can you score against Matt Murray? That's the big question. Matt Murray is the most composed and most relaxed goaltender in the entire NHL, in my opinion. I think he's an outstanding player and honestly, definitely the goaltender moving forward. So if you can score against Matt Murray, you can absolutely push a Game 7, but it's going to be tough. But then again, you're going to be at your home ice. So all these things considered, I will say that the Ottawa Senators will push a Game 7. And if you want to see us review that game of Game 7, or Game 6 rather, that will be tomorrow. That will be tomorrow. The game is at 5, meaning that the review will probably be around the time that it is now, 8 o'clock, 8:30. I know for a fact that I'm going to be on it because I have the entire day off tomorrow. So I'll definitely be there. Mitch better be there because that's his team. So Mitch, I know that you're in the chat right now. I'm calling you out. You better be there for the recap. AC, Kevel, I don't know. Those are wild cards. But I can promise you this. If you are a bottom line viewer and you know a lot about our team, then Dilly Vanilli, that is right, the great Dylan, will be here to help us recap Game 1 of the Stanley Cup Final. His first ever NHL appearance for you guys. He's doing it for you. He really is interested into this thing. We've converted him into an NHL fan. So Dilly Vanilli, you can expect him May 29th on that review. That's a week today. So mark your calendars. All right. So this is Fitty Trent signing off for a great game between the Nashville Predators and the Anaheim Ducks. Congratulations, Nashville, for making the Stanley Cup Final for the first time in your franchise's history. And for the Anaheim Ducks, you know what? This was not a good year for you. Maybe it's time to do just a mini retool. So for Fitty Trent, once again, I'm signing off saying peace out, everybody.